In 1978, 19-year-old Kate Bush became a massive commercial force when her debut album shattered the UK charts. Her label, EMI, demanded that she capitalize on the momentum by producing a follow-up record before the end of the year. When Lionheart arrived months later, critics dismissed it as a rushed, lightweight product, a textbook case of the sophomore slump. These reviewers missed what lay beneath the hurried pop sheen, a calculated camouflage for some of her darkest and most challenging ideas. The album took shape at Super Bear Studios, located on an idyllic, sun-drenched coastal street in the south of France. This sunny environment masked a miserable internal reality. Bush felt squashed by the lack of time and was forbidden from using her own band. She clashed with producer Andrew Powell, who insisted on repeating a safe radio formula, while Bush wanted to create music that hit the listener's guts. Trapped by corporate expectations, she hid her complex, ambitious compositions deep within a bright, radio-friendly exterior. The hit track Wow is the perfect example. On the surface, it sounds like a soaring, elated pop anthem, but the lyrics reveal a facetious critique of showbiz artificiality, taking potshots at the industry where actors are forced to play the fool. She followed this with Hammer Horror, a single built on the sweeping, classic cinematic orchestration of the 1950s. The narrative is actually a psychological horror story about an actor paralyzed by stage fright, haunted by the ghost of a dead friend whose role he inherited. Bush took a traditional narrative of masculine tragedy and subverted it into a display of brilliant, theatrical, feminine camp. These tracks mock the very industry that rushed their creation, proving the album was far from a lightweight pop experiment. On Symphony in Blue, her hidden, avant-garde musical ambitions become even more apparent. She pulled directly from 19th century classical music, specifically referencing the airy chords of Erik Satie's Gymnopédies. Bush used the track to unify sight and sound, treating the color blue and the piano's melody as the exact same phenomenon. This deep exploration of isolation stood in stark contrast to the label's demand for catchy, digestible hits. Bush successfully used the album's commercial constraints to smuggle classical high art into the top 40, turning a pop requirement into a Trojan horse for avant-garde theory. The lack of autonomy in the French studio eventually pushed Bush to her breaking point. She realized she would have to command her own production if she ever wanted her true vision to reach the tape. She shattered the confines of the studio in 1979 by bringing her music onto the stage for her first and only tour, the Tour of Life. The show was a dramatic spectacle that combined mime, magic, and poetry, with 17 costume changes per night. The physical stage finally allowed the experimental and theatrical ambition hiding inside the Lionheart tracks to be seen and understood. Realizing this vision required solving a major logistical problem. Bush needed to sing and execute intense choreography without being tethered to a handheld microphone. Her team devised a DIY engineering solution, taping a bent wire coat hanger to a standard radio mic to create a wearable rig. This makeshift invention became the blueprint for the first modern wireless headset microphone used in pop music. This era of technical and creative struggle served as the crucible for her independence. The unbearable friction of the Lionheart sessions transformed a young songwriter into an uncompromising auteur. The resistance she faced birthed the artist who would go on to command total creative control over undisputed masterpieces like The Dreaming and Hounds of Love.